Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Deffinition, and those looking for some scary stories to tell in the dark are in for a real treat as the horror adaptation makes its way across cinemas. Throughout this video I'll be breaking down everything that you need to know about the movie and discussing how we may see the series return to our screens with a whole new host of characters. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and don't want to know what happens, then I highly suggest that you turn off now. With that out of the way, I just want to give a huge thank you for clicking this video. Now let's get into my ending explained breakdown of scary stories to tell in the dark. The film picks up in the town of Mill Valley, America during the late 60s. In it, we follow a small group of youngsters who've come across the journal of Sarah Bellows after going into her mansion on Halloween. Sarah is notorious in the area, as are the Bellows, who have a reputation in the town for murdering children. So yeah, 1-star review, avoid, avoid, avoid. Anyway, as the kids didn't have TripAdvisor back then, they mistakenly disturbed Sarah's old room, and because of this, the journal that's within the house begins to fill with stories about how the children will die after being tormented by a dark creature. The movie expertly crafts its setting, and even though this is primarily being labelled as a kids film, that doesn't mean that it isn't disturbing throughout. Each creature has its own unique and disgusting feature that really makes all of their appearances on screen memorable and pure nightmare fuel. This film does an expert job of adapting the source material by Alvin Schwartz, whilst also introducing its own creatures such as the Jangly man, who will probably stick with you long after you leave the cinema. In addition to this, there's Harold, who's in a field of his own, the red spot that turns out to be more than a bad case of bad acne, the dream that is anything but, and the big toe that will leave anyone with a foot fetish climbing the walls. Each one really captures your imagination, and as the children are slowly picked off one by one, we are left with a handful of survivors, most notably Stella. Stella wants to become a writer, and during the movie she realises that in order to free herself and her friends from the curse, that she has to expose the truth about the Bellows to the town. After returning to the house, she comes face to face with Sarah, and after seeing firsthand what she went through at the hands of her family, promises to bring light to it and write about it. This seemingly allows Sarah to rest, who takes the creatures with her that she unleashed, mainly the Jangly man, who is getting eerily close to taking Ramon, and the curse is lifted and Stella exposes the truth about the Bellows to the town, though we get the impression that not everyone believes it. Ramon is drafted into the Vietnam War, which is a pretty heart-wrenching moment, especially as Stella pens him a letter that reveals her feelings for him, and overall it's an ending that sets up a lot down the line. Most notably because the final scene in the film reveals that Stella didn't return Sarah's journal to the haunted mansion, and instead she, along with her father and friend Ruthie, who's probably going to be scarred for the rest of her life with arachnophobia, believe that there's a way that they can bring back their fallen friends. This is because some of them were absorbed by the creatures, and thus Stella thinks that there is hope that they can come back. During the film, Stella received a pen from Sarah that when dipped in blood could add to the journal, and this could allow her to craft her own creatures and stories that could potentially bring back her lost friends. We follow the three as they drive off on their mission to discover the truth behind the book and how the magic in it works. We get the feeling that though they were able to quell Sarah's rage and therefore lift the curse, they haven't actually discovered what allowed her to get revenge from beyond the grave, and this is one of the movie's biggest mysteries. I think that going forward the group will trace the root of the power behind the book as well as where the stories themselves actually originate from. With this power still being out somewhere in the world, that means that there could be more dangers, and those who've read the original scary stories will know that each tale has its own long and dark history. For example, the big toe comes from a story in which a boy saw a big toe sticking out of the ground in his garden, and he yanked on it really hard and pulled it out of the ground. This caused the body that was attached to it to track him down, and there's a lot that you could do with this sort of tale in terms of discussing how the body got there and so on. Whilst I don't think that that story would necessarily be adapted, just because it's already featured in this film and we have had some hints to what happened, Schwartz himself has written over 80 stories, each with its own unique and evil creature, and there's a vast wealth of material to pull from in terms of plot devices going forward. I think that the next movie has the potential to be even darker than this one, with the three perhaps being chased across America after unwittingly unearthing more monsters from the other side. Either way, there's a lot of things that could happen going forward, and I'm really excited to see which scary stories we have down the line. And now onto my review. I think Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is a brilliant film and one that definitely feels like a really good example of how children's horror can work and still be very menacing. I was born in the 80s and grew up in the 90s where kids' cartoons and so on all had a dark side to them that seemed to really disappear around the turn of the millennium, only to be replaced by rather soft and overly friendly shows, so it's great to see something in the genre that feels like a callback to those days, as I think it's sorely missed. This movie is designed to give children nightmares, and I genuinely think that it's going to succeed in that goal. I don't have any doubt that in 20 years time, when kids have grown up, many of them will refer to this as the thing that kept them up at night when they were little. It's a really enjoyable film that creates some brilliant new horror icons that will no doubt stick with many, and though the film isn't perfect, it still does way more good than bad. I had a great time with Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and that's why it gets an 8 out of 10. Obviously, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the film and if you agree with my comments or not. Drop your thoughts below and let me know, and if you enjoyed this video and want to watch more scary things, then make sure you check out my full breakdown of the extra 8 minutes of footage that we got for It Chapter 2, which will be linked at the end. In it I go over everything that you need to know about the first look, as well as how it was changed from the source material, so it's definitely worth watching if you want to know more. If you want to come talk to me about movies, TV shows, games and comic books, then you can follow me on Twitter at DeffinitionYT. It's the best place to get in touch with me and it's the perfect way to suggest new videos and content. Also, just want to let you know that we're currently giving away a free copy of Avengers Endgame on Blu-ray to one lucky winner, and all you have to do is like this video, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and leave your thoughts on Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark in the comments section below. The winner will be chosen at random on August the 10th, so you've got 1 day left to enter, and the Blu-ray will be shipped out from then to whoever gets the prize, so best of luck to everyone who takes part. This is a channel for people who are mad into movies, so if that's the kind of thing you like, hit subscribe. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this. I've been Deffinition, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.